Hi, in this lesson I want to cover the ideal partner and customer profiles and why they are important. So if you look at a typical partnership, it will consume quite a lot of time. You need to find the right partner, you need to onboard them, sign an agreement with them, you need to have recurring calls with them, schedule different meetings, gather KPIs and settle goals, and then you need to work on marketing activities. It will consume quite a lot of your working hours. And if you look at this graph, you can see that even with 25 partners, it basically takes up your whole week. And with scale, it will become a problem. You will either have to increase the number of people who are handling the partnerships, or you will have to purchase a PRM system, or do both. What you also need to know is that on average, only 25 to 40% of the partners will be active, meaning they will be providing you with leads. And this is very typical. You have to expect that most of them actually will be passive partners, meaning that maybe something will come from them every couple of quarters. But typically, the active partners, meaning the ones who provide you leads every month, will be only a small handful of the whole group. And there are exceptions to the rule, of course. I've heard of companies, I've talked to one company who has claims to have over 80% engagement rate. But also I've heard of companies who only have it at around 20%. So typically you would be somewhere between the 25 to 40% range. And because of this, you need to be very selective about the partners you are choosing to work with. And the easiest way to do this is actually by defining your IPP and ICP fit. And what are they? In terms of ideal partner profile, you need to define how many employees does an ideal partner have, what industry do they work in, what countries they work from, and what services and products do they offer. And you also need to take into account who they are working with, so the ideal customer profile. Which industries are they from, what size companies do they work with, which countries are their clients from, and what revenue are they typically generating. And when you have those and you compare them to the ICP and IPP of the partner, the ideal partner that you chose to work with, you will be able to see if they are worth your time, if they are worth investing the time in this partnership. Now, here are a few tips for you. First of all, consider how you will be looking at partners. First of all, you can see on the left, in the middle of the screen, you can see there's a screen from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And there are some filters that you can choose to find the correct partners for you. On the right, you see a screen from Apollo, which is another email outbound sequence tool. And it allows you to also filter for partners, but it has different filters. So in an ideal world, you would know which tool you will be using to find the right partners even before you actually create the profile. That will help you define specific fields or filters that you will use in that tool. Secondly, consider exclusions. Who you do not want to target. What are the keywords that will make a partner not a great fit? And you can see here on the right, for example, in the job titles that you can include the partner manager, partnerships, director of partnerships, but there are a lot of people who, for example, work in wholesale, or they are specifically responsible for Microsoft or AWS, which might not be a perfect fit. And it's a good idea to also think about those exclusions of who you don't want to work with, because they will just consume your time without giving back. Now, let's do a small example. Let's do a small question of what would be a good fit for a boutique user experience and user interface agency. First of all, we have three companies, company A, B, and C. All of them are software houses, all of them have around 100 employees, and all of them do around 30 customers or projects per year. The first one, company A, only works with big brands. They work mostly with B2B, and they work pretty much only with French companies. Company B, on the other hand, works both with big and small companies. They work in the EU, but they specialize in SAP implementation. And company C works with small and medium companies, specializes in e-commerce, and works in many European countries. And if you are a boutique agency that's specializing in user experience, you should not go after company A and B. For company A, they are only working with big brands. There's a chance that it's a small boutique agency with not a lot of referrals, not a lot of big customers to your name. you will not be able to land a deal with those big brands. Secondly, if company A works mostly in B2B, that means that they will typically not need your services. And third, France is a region where it's very important to actually prefer to work with French companies. Obviously, you can work from outside of France, but it will be much more difficult to implement and to do. For company B, everything seemed okay until you reach a specialization in SAP implementation. SAP is a system that doesn't require user experience and doesn't require any sort of design, so you will not have a good fit with this company. Company C, on the other hand, is a perfect fit, and you should start working with company C.